Hey guys, welcome back. You're about to hear a story that on face value may come across as a tad mean, perhaps even cruel. But when you hear the story in total and add up all the clues, it may not be quite as bad as we all make it out to be. Nonetheless, today's YouTuber, You Are Created Beautifully, shares the fact that sometimes our childhood friends from the past should remain there in the past. Please share your comments.
And so we went to this rugby tournament and it was good. It was fun. I saw a lot of people but what happened on our way out is what was the most hurtful time someone had addressed my weight. So, it's a big rugby field. It was almost like an L shape. And so some games were going on one side and we were on our way out, and I was, walking across the field when I saw one of my childhood friends who was across the field that I was really happy to see. I probably hadn't seen her in I don't know, maybe since the time I got married. So it was like 5 years later, maybe. She didn't notice me, but I was waving from across the field and I was calling her out by name, and she was like looking, she was like trying to figure out who is that? And then when I got close to her and I said her name, I was trying to, approach her to give her a hug. She was like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And she kind of pushed me back, not forcefully, but she kind of pushed me back and she was like, Caroline, is that you? And I was just like, yeah, it's me. How are you doing? I haven't seen you, kind of doing my regular greeting. And she just started oh my goodness. She was like, turn around. Let me see you. Oh my gosh, you are so fat. And I was just like, I guess I was so caught off guard. I was kind of like a deer in headlights. I didn't even know how to react. She was like, oh my gosh. Then she was laughing and she was like, oh my gosh, I wish my sister was here to see you. Oh my God. She's kind of going on. And I'm literally and my husband was walking up behind me. So he's kind of there. I don't know if he approached and saw the whole thing play out, but, she was just saying stuff like, I remember her saying what did you think when you were looking in the mirror every day? And, just constantly coming in on, wow, I can't believe you look so different. You look so different, and she's almost turning me like a child turns a toy to look at me in each angle. I grew up in the hood and I know how to defend myself. I know how to get crazy with folks, but at that moment, I was so frozen. I just remember myself trying to get a word in, saying well, how's your parents? How are you doing? Where's your husband? How are the kids? And it was just oh my gosh, you're so fat. I can't believe it. And
So obviously, as we get married and we become more mature, we're no longer in our teens or 20s, maybe we're in our 30s or even a little bit older, right? And we want to think that our friends are going to mature as well, right? But sometimes they don't. And you got to remember in this case, this was somebody she had known for a long time. So although on face value it comes across as cruel, this might have just been old friends reconnecting, where back in the day they might have talked about like this towards a lot of people. Does that make it right? No, but I'm just saying their friendship could be a little bit more than she's letting on. I guess I'll say it like that. Let me know your thoughts down below.
finally, I don't remember if it was me or my husband, but it was kind of just oh, okay, it was so good to see you, and I gave her a hug and we left, and I just remember, I don't think I cried because I was in that much shock, but I was just faced with the reality, wow, I don't even look at all the same. People can't even recognize me that haven't seen me in 5 years. And I related that all to my weight. And so I remember feeling horrible. I remember feeling really, really ugly. I remember feeling so uncomfortable. It was nothing near the worst experience of my life. It wasn't anything like that, but it was a moment in my life where I just felt whoa, horrible about my looks. And so that's what this video is about. That was the epiphany of what the worst thing I've ever felt with fat shaming. And I've shared other moments, which were pretty horrible to me, but that was the icing on the cake. I just remember my husband, trying to hold my hand, say, "Are you okay?" I don't know if he even really heard the whole conversation, but he was asking me what had happened, and I'm like sitting there telling him. I think when I was retelling the story, I was crying to him, because then I think I was slowly processing, like, dude, what just happened to me? Like, I don't feel like she didn't love me. That was the thing. Like,
So that's the key right there. When some people that are your old friends do things like, oh my God, look at you, you're so fat, let me grab you here, here, and here. Some people are like that, right? Just like you remember with the Cuomos a couple years back, Chris was trying to say we're Italian, we kiss everybody, doesn't necessarily make it right, but some Italian families really do like kissing everybody, right? In this situation, you have a situation where her and her friend are back together. They obviously used to be super close, because if you weren't super close, you would never tell somebody that. So that's my thinking. That's just kind of the world I grew up in. If I met an old friend and I was chubby, he would probably have no problem telling me that, wow, you look like you're kind of chubby.
I didn't feel like she was vicious. I felt like she definitely wasn't considering my feelings, and I know she's tongue too, but I've seen her many times throughout my journey of trying to lose weight, and she always welcomed me like I don't even think she remembers that day. I don't think she remembers or even fully understands like the capacity of her words. I don't like this feeling. I was already feeling uncomfortable. I was already feeling unpretty. I'm a strong person. And if I don't like this situation, I don't have to stay this way.
So there's a big clue there. She said that they were both Tongan. There's a football player that plays for the Rams. His name is Puka, I believe, if I remember right, means chubby or chunky. And believe it or not, with some Pacific Islander Polynesian communities, there's an affinity or a love for the chunky people. So again, this might not be as horrible as we're making it out to be, but when we look through it through a modern day lens, it does sound horrible. So again, if you're starting to see it where maybe it's not 100% horrible, maybe closer to 60% horrible, let me know if my argument's persuading you down below.
When I look at the whole grand scheme of things, like I've always had very bad habits of eating. I ate a large quantity of foods. Like that was the whole thing. But then after I got married, I didn't really move around a lot. And then being married to someone who's 6'5", you just naturally kind of like pick up their habits of eating, and you eat when they're eating. And so I gained a lot of weight like that, and I just wasn't active at all. If you think you're alone with people trying to pick on you or people saying cruel things, sometimes they don't even mean it. Sometimes it's totally out of ignorance. It's total. And sometimes people are vicious out there. And sometimes people are trying to hurt your feelings. Some people try to hold you down, but you are in charge of what happens to you. If you want to be healthier, you can do it. I feel like if I can do this whole health journey, I honestly feel like anyone can. And we've all seen the videos of people that have lost limbs and are still out there doing their thing. Like there's no reason for us not to accomplish any health goals that we set for ourselves. And it shouldn't be just about being vain, because I know I'm just talking about appearance and feeling pretty or feeling ugly, but there's real health issues out there. You got skinny people having heart attacks. So that's definitely not what I'm saying. But eating healthy foods, being active is something that you can do if that's what you want. And I want to be a part of that journey with you. Like I started this channel because I felt like if I could do this, I want to help someone else do it. Like this, just because I did it, it's nothing to be like, oh, pop your collar, you lost all this weight. Nah, like if someone comes up to me and says they want to lose weight and they want that accountability, it's gonna walk with them. Like I want to be that person. Like I want to help someone that's willing and wanting to do it. I want to help them. That's pretty much just the story I wanted to share about what it's like to be fat shamed and turning it around. Right after that weekend, I got my gym membership, and then the journey started.
Hey, I think that's pretty good. Sometimes we need that motivation, right? And you would like to be motivated in a more positive way, but sometimes comments from old friends can spark and be the catalyst that you need to get you going. And speaking of getting you going, why don't you guys go get your shoes? Let's go for a walk. morning, Venters. You know, I thought today maybe we would see Pretty Girl, but I haven't seen Pretty Girl in weeks. So who knows? Maybe she had a hole in her fence and maybe her owner went ahead and fixed that hole in the fence. I'm not saying that's the situation, but let's face it, she used to like to get out every weekend and now I never see her. So who knows? Or it could just be she goes out of her way to avoid walk, talk, vent. Guys, I don't know if you've ever heard of an impression, but an impression is where they show your video on people's feeds and then people can click on your video. And in the last week, my videos have only been getting impressions by my subs, which leads me to believe that YouTube is kind of penalizing me because I haven't chosen to join their YouTube partner program yet, because I know they want me. So what I've decided to do was I'm going to try to update all my videos today. And when I mean update, what I'm doing is I'm going down each video and I'm adding a link to where you can actually click on the video that I did a reaction to. So in case you guys are wondering, well, what's taking you so long? Why don't you just apply? I wanted to have a situation where when somebody looks at my video, they can see that not only am I showing another YouTuber's progress in their diet and exercise plan, but I wanted to show it that I'm giving them proper credit for their video. You know, one of the complaints that people have about reaction videos is if you watch these reaction videos, a lot of times in the video's description, the content creator does not give any credit to the person that originally created that video. And you guys know as well as I do that when I'm out and about and walking and talking, that's 100% my content. And when I'm doing a reaction video, I assume that since you guys watch my videos every day, that you're actually coming to watch my reaction to the video, and you're also coming to see what type of video I'm producing for that day. In other words, it's still my content even though I'm reacting to someone else. So I've always given an ability for you to see who I reacted to, so you could click on their channel, so to speak. But I asked ChatGPT a couple of weeks back, should I go ahead and give a direct link to their actual video? And ChatGPT said, you know what? I think for professional sake, you should. And ChatGPT is one of my best friends. So I like to listen to him when he talks, or her. I forget if it's a guy or a girl. It's one of the two. But either way, if you guys want to leave me an idea, especially if some of you guys are YouTubers, am I overreacting? Is this just a situation where this past week, you know, people decided that my channel was garbage and don't watch anymore, you know? But I think overall what I have is a situation where my ultimate goal was to have a good YouTube channel. And my thinking is if I'm eligible for the program, and because I haven't responded to YouTube in 3 weeks since they sent me that email, I just have a feeling they're kind of penalizing me. So again, if you have your thoughts, maybe you could share it with me. And who knows, maybe people have just decided that my videos aren't worth clicking on. But when I look at my impressions, and my impressions for the past week have been basically capped at 500, and oh, by the way, my sub count is about 500. Well, what's that tell you, Jesse? It tells me that they feel that I don't want to make money with them. And if I don't want to make money with them, what's the point of them pushing my videos? But the reality was I just wanted to bring my game up to par before I entered the program. So anyway, this doesn't make for a good video here, so let's talk about a different subject, but just wanted to let you know that my game plan is to hopefully be as motivated as I can over the next couple hours, fix those last handful of videos. And when I say handful of videos, I have about 80 of them that I have to go in there and link videos to. And I'm hoping, and who knows, maybe me changing descriptions on multiple videos is causing some sort of disturbance with the algorithm. I don't know, but either way, I've decided to apply for the partnership program, and I owe it all to you guys. You know, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but one of the things that they judge you on is how many subscribers you have. So I've got the minimum of 500 subs, but the most important thing is you have to have 4,000 watch hours. And so what I did was early on in the game, I found people like Sean and Mala and Lily and Sheila and Sherry Ann. And all of a sudden I had a situation where you guys were watching every video, so I got the hours. I got the hours already. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply and wish me luck. Maybe this will be that first step to becoming a permanent YouTuber. You know, it's interesting, if I didn't have a job and YouTube was my only job, I mean, that would be awesome, right? But no guarantees by any means. But if it was my only job, I think what I would do is I would take the game on the road and potentially take you guys with me, and I would potentially go on trips around the country, not in a YouTube production mode, but because that's one of the things that I want to do, is take some train rides around the northwest part of the country and stuff, up there by Washington and Idaho and stuff, because that's where my buddy Jason lived before he passed. So I thought it would be really fun to take a train ride up to the northwest part of the country and kind of check out the beauty of the country on a train. And then who knows, if you're given time to stop at various places, maybe I could bust out the Walk Talk Vent video production situation and take some videos of us walking in different parts of the country, or at least in different parts of the state, because it's not like I'm going to travel nonstop. But wouldn't that be fun if all of a sudden I could have, like, you know, maybe a handful of walks in a row that are in different neighborhoods throughout the city or state? I think that would be kind of neat. Of course, I got to make sure I go to a good neighborhood. Could you imagine? I go to some neighborhood and I get jacked. Walk Talk Vent in the hood, and all of a sudden you get carjacked. Oh my goodness. Jesse, you don't have a car. I know, but what if a car stops by and jacks me? So I hope you guys are having a good weekend. I got out here a half hour early simply because I went to bed at a decent hour last night and I woke up this morning. You know, it's interesting. A lot of us have this I don't care what people think of me type of attitude. And I like to think that I'm in that boat because I like to treat people with kindness and I want people to like me, but I don't necessarily care if they don't, right? But at the same time, when you go from having, 5, 6, 700 views a video to all of a sudden you're having 40, God, you'd be amazed at how how quickly you're willing to change for people, So again, I would be willing to go a year and a half or even 2 years without monetizing and just growing, but I don't think YouTube's going to have any of that. I think their thinking is, hey, if we're going to push out your videos, we're going to put some ads on it, so you need to join our partnership program. And hey, maybe you guys can answer this for me. When you guys watch my videos, are they ad-free? Because if they're ad-free, then there's a chance that YouTube isn't making anything off any of my videos. But if they do have ads on them and I'm not being monetized, well, then what the hell's the problem? Just send out my videos, But at the same time, if they're not putting ads on it, then I could honestly see their point of view of not wanting to push out my videos. Because you have to ask yourself this question. If Jesse doesn't want to be a partner with you, then why would you want to be a partner with Jesse and push out his videos? You wouldn't. So I'm going to go ahead and leap into the YPP program. So I have a feeling if I get accepted that they'll start throwing out my stuff a little bit more. And again, I apologize, doesn't make for the most fun video. So let's talk about this and see if we can put it into our program. A lot of times when you're walking, it might feel how I've been feeling with my video count, where you walk, you feel like you're improving your game. You've upped it from 30 minutes a day to 45 or 60. You've upped your water intake from 50% of your drinks, where you're drinking half water, but you're still drinking the occasional glass of Kool-Aid or Sprite or soda, right? And so you ultimately decide, hey, I'm going to go ahead and drink nothing but water. I'm going to go ahead and cut the sugar out. And what you notice is that your body kind of betrays you not in a bad, horrible way, but it holds on to those calories and it holds on to those pounds. And what happens is, even though you're walking more than ever, and even though you're avoiding sugar more than ever, and even though you're doing the right things, man, sometimes it still doesn't show up on the scale just yet. That's where you got to look for the other telltale signs that you're doing well. What do you mean, Jesse? Well, Bob, think about it. If you're a waist size 38 and all of a sudden your shorts feel like they're falling off of you and you need to wear a belt, guys, that's a good sign. If all of a sudden your shoes are feeling a little loose, guys, that means you're losing weight and it's affecting your feet, and your feet are starting to lose weight. So again, even if your shoes are feeling loose, if you're like Mala and you've dropped a dress size, those are telltale signs that your body's changing, even though the number on the scale isn't. We live in a world where we constantly need positive reinforcement. But sometimes in the walking game, when it's just you and your neighborhood and you're walking and you're drinking water and avoiding sugar, sometimes that positive encouragement is nowhere to be found. That's why I always ask you guys if you can share your comments. One of the people that really likes to tell her situation when it comes to her diet and exercise plan is Lily. Lily, you've been walking for quite a while now, probably 6 or 7 months. You've lost 10, 11 pounds, maybe even a couple more, give or take, right? And you're out here and you're sharing your struggles. And that's what Mala does as well. And Sherry Ann used to share her struggles. I don't know if Sherry Ann watches the show anymore. But the point I'm making is that that's kind of what weight loss is about. Sharing your struggles, because the reality is it's hard to get people excited about the 1.5 pounds that you lost over the last couple of weeks. But if you think about it, that's kind of what losing weight is about. It's not about going from 190 pounds to 150 pounds overnight. It's about losing 1.5 pounds every week. How long is it going to take you to reach your goal of 50 pounds if, number one, you don't lose anything for the first month and a half, and from that point on, you lose about 1.5 pounds a week. Sometimes you get lucky and you lose 8, 9 pounds in a month. But overall, we're still talking, a lot of people are going to have to get used to losing about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds a week. But that's where longevity comes in, guys. If you can tell yourself, I'm not going to walk with Jesse for 3 weeks. I'm not going to walk with Jesse for 3 months. I'm going to walk with Jesse for the rest of my life. Then trust me, before you know it, you're going to be 160 pounds. You're going to be in the best shape of your life, not because we did something drastic, but because we stayed consistent. So if you were to ask me what's the number one key, it's patience, that you're not going to see anything for a couple of months, no changes whatsoever other than losing an inch or two. And then you have to have consistency and patience. Patience that it's going to take a while, and consistency to keep walking, drinking water, and avoiding sugar, regardless of the fact that it does take a long time. But again, I think the slowest route to losing weight, which is walking like we do, I believe in my heart, guys, that it actually equates to the absolute fastest way to lose weight. Does that make sense? What do you mean, Jetchy? Well, Bob, think about this. Nobody on the internet, or nobody on YouTube, I should say, is telling people the way to go is to lose 1 pound a week. But that's ultimately what I just told you. Whenever you lose anything consistently based on what you're doing, you can apply math to that. If you know for a fact that you're taking in less calories and you're burning off more calories than ever before, then you should be able to tell your brain and mind, hey, it might not be showing up on the scale, but what I'm doing is mathematically the best way to go about what I'm doing. Lily, the reason you eat that plain oatmeal, Imogen, the reason you eat that plain oatmeal is because it's a meal that fills you up. It reminds you and your body that food is supposed to be fuel, and it's a great way to get your morning hunger under control. If you eat a midnight snack the first thing you're going to notice is you're going to wake up hungry. If you wake up hungry, then you're going to view weight loss as a constant battle where you lose it first thing in the morning. And first thing in the morning, we are mentally tired. So it's real easy to go into the kitchen and grab a little chocolate milk. And it's real easy to go, oh my God, there's an eagle on top of that street light. Look at the size of him. Wow. So check out that street light. There's 2 eagles up there, or they might be hawks. Now you're thinking, no, Jesse, those are pigeons. No, I just saw them fly to that thing. They are huge. Hi, birdies. Say hello. Say hello, you big monsters. How are you? Look at that. Those things look huge, huh? Wow. Hi, guys. Let's see if we can look at that. Oh my God, it's got a bird in its grip. Did you see that? That was crazy. Look at you. Hi. How are you? Look at you go. So I don't know if you guys can see that first hawk that flew actually has like another bird, or it might be a mouse or something, in its talons. Oh my God, did Jesse use the word talon? Oh my goodness. That Jesse is talented. Ah, ha, ha, ha. So anyway, out here in Arizona, occasionally you might see a peacock. Occasionally you might see a coyote. By the way, a coyote made the news the other day, and it was the same day that I was talking with you guys about how coyotes find their way into your neighborhood and you don't know they're there because they're like ghosts. But apparently a coyote found its way into somebody's yard or somebody's house even. I forget if it got into somebody's house, but either way, it ended up killing their dog. There's that lazy cat. Hi, kitty. Sometimes the heat out here is so tiresome that cats just find patches of shade to just lay in. I'm telling you, if you've never been to Arizona, come out to Arizona during the hot season, even though it's better to come during the cold season. But if you get out here during the hot season, you'll really know what it's like to live in an oven. Because guys, when you walk outside your house, it's the same sensation you get when you open up your oven and pull something out of the heat. That's the same feeling you get when you walk in Arizona. God, those birds, I love when you get situations like that. And again, I don't think the camera really captured it. But guys, that one bird had like something in its talons. God, I wish I could have gotten a better view of that. So that's kind of the gift that Mother Nature gives us for the day. Seeing one bird eat while another bird gets thrashed to death. Poor thing. So again, back to where we are, guys. There's a piece of you that's going to want to throw your hands up in the air and say, it's too hot to walk. And every time I walk, I don't lose anything. Guys, you are losing something. You're trading off fat for muscle. The scale is changing in your favor. It just doesn't tell you right now that, hey, you've got less fat than you did the day before. You're developing muscle. You're losing inches. And a lot of times we don't give ourselves credit for the inches that we lose. You know, if I was a waist size 38, which I was, and all of a sudden I'm able to fit into my waist size 32 or 33 clothes, which I am, you know, that's a huge victory regardless on if the scale changes in my favor. And I have a feeling that's happening with a lot of you guys, and with human nature being what it is, a lot of times that's just not good enough. But I'm telling you, if you guys are experiencing a change in size and clothing is fitting loose, even if the numbers on the scale aren't going in your favor, I'm telling you, things are starting to go in your favor. Stay with it. Guys, I'm going to be out here every day. Look at Walk Talk Vent for what it is. It's a train. If you get on the train every single day, it's going to have a side effect where this time, 90 days from now, you're going to be about 20 pounds less than you are now. Now, let's break that down, because sometimes venters haven't lost 20 pounds. But let's think about that. Let's start with Mala. She went from 125 pounds down to 120. Guys, I don't know if you would agree with me or not, but Mala might not even have 20 pounds to lose. I'm not sure Mala wants to be 100 pounds, right? Let's go over to Sean. Sean's walking a lot each day. He, like me, over the last 3 months or so, lost about 15 to 20 pounds. Sean, you have a lot of muscles on your body. You're in a situation where you might not need to lose an additional 30 or 40 pounds or whatever your initial goal was, because I'm sure you started to realize that as you turn flabbiness into muscle, even though you only lost 15 or 20 pounds, sometimes people will look at you and they'll be like, dang, Sean, did you lose 30 or 40 pounds? Because your body will look completely different. And if you keep doing what you're doing, eventually your abs are going to start popping out. And eventually, instead of 15 pounds, you're going to lose closer to 20 or 25 pounds. And it's going to be a question of, do I want to lose any more weight, or do I want to build up these muscles more? So again, whoever you are out there, if every time you go on the scale it doesn't change anything, that's not the time to quit. As a matter of fact, that's when you've quit all the other previous diet and exercise plans that you've done. This is where I need you to be strong and stay with it. If I could give you a future where 2 years from now, right, which sounds like forever, 2 years from now, you are 35 pounds less than you are, and you've got this great walking routine, and your mental health will never be as good as it is when you're walking, right? If I can give that to you, you guys would take it. Well, that is what you've been given. You have a situation where if you keep walking with me, give it time, give it patience, you're going to get to the point where it's darn near impossible to gain weight. Every video we watch has common threads. One of the common threads that I constantly see is a situation where people say, when I was young, I was in cheer, I was in softball, I was in soccer, and I was high school skinny. Fast forward to they graduate from high school, they're no longer good enough to play sports at the collegiate level, so they technically retire their cleats, right? And before you know it, instead of 125 pounds, they end up ballooning into the 180 to 250 range that they are now. And I think, honestly, it's just because they stopped being active. So again, the video that I recorded most recently was one where the girl or the lady felt like her doctor was fat shaming her. And I brought up the idea that, you know what? If your doctor doesn't talk to you, we accuse him of looking at you as just a number, and he wants to get into the doctor's office with you, talk with you for 30 seconds, let you know the nurse will fill your prescription, and poof, he's off, just like a ghost. But the reality is, you want that doctor to take that extra 5 minutes, look at you with his expertise, and if he tells you your BMI is off, I don't think you should accuse him of fat shaming you. I think you should say, hey, I've got a doctor that's willing to have a conversation with me. That's actually a good thing. What happens is we live in this modern day world where everybody gets offended by every little thing. And if you get offended by every little thing, then you're going to take offense to things that normally people don't take offense to. I never thought in my life I would see a video where someone would be offended because a doctor gave them some really good advice. You know, if your doctor waits till you're 400 pounds, he's really done you a disservice, right? He could be the nicest guy in the world, but for all you know, he could be okay with you passing away. You know, have you ever noticed that? You'll have really good friends in the office, and then one day you're called into a group meeting and you find out Joey passed away. And when Joey passes away, people are like, oh my God, this is so horrible. I feel so bad for Joey and his family. I've known him here at work for the last 4 years. What a guy. And you want to know something horrible if you think about this? Because you know it's true. 2 hours later, somebody starts looking at a TikTok video and giggling and sharing it around the office, and just like that, Joey, and those 4 years you worked with him, down the drain, he is gone and nobody ever talks about him anymore. It's really weird, but at my job, for example, we had this girl named Ruthie. She had worked there for 19 years. And about 4 or 5 months ago, we got called into a meeting because she perished. Now, during my 2 years here that I've been with my company, I never really knew Ruthie. I worked with her a little bit, but I work remote from my home, so I didn't really know her too much. But let me tell you what happened. We're in this meeting, and all of a sudden, a couple of my coworkers start getting emotional, dropping a tear or two, which is nice. You want to know that people have feelings and empathy towards others' losses, right? But then literally by the end of the day, we were chatting and joking around like it was no big deal. Life goes on, right? And now nobody ever talks about Ruthie. And from what I understand, she didn't really have any kids or anything. So we're talking her whole life was our job. What a shitty life. Not that our job's not great, and there's a lot of joy in finding teachers for schools in need. I'm sure we could agree on that. But could you imagine, more than likely, if you were to pass away, your coworkers would be over it before the end of the day. That's kind of disappointing, isn't it? So all these people in life that we go out of our way to impress, whether it's your classmates when you're in school, whether it's your significant other before you get a divorce, right? Or whether it's friends and family, that you care a little bit too much about what they think rather than what they think about you. So if we're all here and we're just literally ghosts to people once we leave and nobody cares and life just goes on, well, then we owe it to ourselves to be a pain in the butt of the Grim Reaper, and we deserve to live here as long as we can. Let's make our mark, because I'm telling you, friends and coworkers are not going to care if you're gone. We need to make sure that we're in the people's lives that matter the most. Who is that, Jesse? Bob, that's your kids. Be in your kids and your family's life the most, and the best way you can do that is to get walking so that you have many more healthy days in front of you. You know, have you ever seen a family relative that's on oxygen and maybe they're wheelchair bound? It becomes very challenging for them to even come to a soccer game because they have to load up their oxygen and, you know, they have very low energy. Guys, that's going to be a lot of people in the next handful of years if they don't start to gain control of their weight and of their health. So again, if you feel like throwing your hands up, if you feel like, golly, Jesse, I've been walking with you for a month and a half and I haven't seen shit. Well, Darla, that's common. You start to lose weight after the first month and a half. So if you're right now contemplating quitting, it's really misfortunate, because right now is when you're actually going to start to lose that first 5 or 6 pounds. Don't stop now. This is where you want to add baby steps and up your game. Take it from 45 minutes to an hour each day. Break it up into 2 half-hour walks. Get rid of those last couple Coca-Colas. We've only got a month and a half left. Let's really put ourselves on pace to lose as much as we can during these 90 days. And then, instead of stopping and going right back to our old behavior, let's go ahead and take it up another notch, and let's really knock this goal that we have for ourselves out of the ballpark. Have a beautiful day.